Hello, my name's Ryan, and in this first video tutorial I'm going to walk you through a few setup tricks for your AutoCAD to make sure it runs smoothly for you as you work through your drawing assignments. First, note that I'm running AutoCAD Architecture 2018 Educational. This may be different than your version, but rest assured that the same functionality exists even if things look a little bit different on your AutoCAD. Mainly the ribbons change as we go to different versions. So first thing I'm going to talk about is graphics performance. If you're operating on a lower power machine like my Dell Latitude in front of me here, you want to turn off hardware acceleration and smooth line display. Those help to produce higher quality line work that you view on your screen, so they make things look smoother and more robust, and you really don't need that for the kind of rough drawing we're going to be doing in this class. So turn those off and hit OK, and that's going to help your computer run smoother with less likelihood of it locking up or shutting down or crashing. Next thing here is we're going to go into just a blank template by clicking on Start Drawing. And here at the bottom I have a command line. This is where I basically give every instruction to AutoCAD to make a line or to delete or to add or to stretch. Everything happens here, as well as options. So you don't have to click in the command line. I can be up in the screen, and if I just start typing, anything I type always appears in that command line. So I'm going to type options and hit the enter key, and it brings up the background AutoCAD options. A few things that you want to change here, starting it from this first Files tab, is your automatic file save location. It's going to be something goofy like this temp folder that I have. So I've made another folder, and I'm going to browse and find that on my hard drive called AutoCAD Autosave. So redirect that to a folder that you know where it's at, because I can about guarantee your computer will crash and you'll lose work unless you can find it in the Autosave folder. Next item here is the display. So we're going to go into display, and it's real important to consider your colors if you're going to be doing AutoCAD for many hours at a time. It's my personal preference to go with a dark background. I found that if the background is dark, there's less light being emitted from the screen to your eyes, and only the lines are light, and you get less eye fatigue over a 9 or 10 hour day of drafting. So for model space, pick a darker color like what's selected here. And for paper space, which is called sheet layout, I prefer a lighter color. A darker color than what would normally come in, which is white. So I go to select color and pick one of these, darker charcoal colors for paper space, and that's going to be easier on your eyes for the long term. So apply and close that. The next thing here while we're on this screen is crosshair size. You're going to come in real small with the default AutoCAD. Crank that up to around 50. People think I'm crazy, but you'll get the hang of large crosshairs for alignment and speed and efficiency, and you won't want to go back. Alright, so I think we've covered those fairly well. Let's move forward to the Open tab, and the main thing here is your autosave time. Make sure autosave is turned on and change that to around 10 minutes between saves. You'll be amazed how much work you'll lose in 10 minutes. And AutoCAD can crash, especially on a lower power machine, so make sure you've got that set around 10 minutes. I know it glitches the system when it saves, but it's worth that little interruption to make sure you don't lose work. Next we'll move to the Drafting tab, and here at the Drafting tab I like to set my auto snap and aperture up near the mid-size. Again, a little bit larger pick points will speed you up, especially while you're learning. Next we'll go to the Selection tab, third one over, and again we've got pick box and grip size. You'll learn about these later, but set them at least about a third of the way up to improve your efficiency and speed as you're learning. So once we've made all these settings on the files, the display, open and save, drafting, and selection, hit apply and OK, and it will keep all of our changes. And we're ready to make a few more changes here. The first thing is in relation to our buttons at the bottom. I use these buttons fairly often. In the very bottom right, you should have 3 bars that say customization. If you click that, Then you have options to turn on and off buttons. So I'm going to make sure dynamic input is on. I've got ortho should be on. We'll probably turn on object snap. And you'll get to know these better and turn things on and off as we go through, but start with about that. And the first I want to talk about is this dynamic input. It's this button right here. Dyne mode is the command. If you right click and click on dynamic input settings, I'd highly encourage you to turn on pointer input and dimension input where possible, and all these boxes, check all these boxes and hit OK. And I say that because when I'm starting to do a command, you'll see that now it appears right where my crosshairs are, so I don't have to look down to this command line. And if you can think again, drafting 10 hours straight, if I'm looking right at my crosshairs, my eyes don't have to move up and down as often. I get less eye fatigue and I improve my efficiency. So make sure dynamic input is turned on and the settings set as we've just described. The other thing is O-snap and ortho. When I'm drawing a line, right now it's, actually hang on one second. Right now it's just kind of free around. I have nothing locking it in. So if I hit the F8 key, that's called orthographic, and that locks me into right angles. We'll use that a ton in this class. So make sure that you are familiar with your F8 key to turn on your orthographic, and the button for that I did not see. For some reason I don't see it here. I may be overlooking it, but there is a button down here that is related to it. For some reason I don't see it. And then the other thing is F3, which is object snap. So when I'm drawing a line, right now I can't reference a corner or input of a line, but if I hit F3, then all of a sudden I get automatic grip points that appear, so I can draw exactly from the end of the line. So F3 turns on your O snap, which snaps to points. F8 makes it so you can draw a right angle line, and very handy commands to use. The other two you'll need to know about are grid and snap, which are these two buttons down here. It's F7 and F9. I don't prefer to use those, but if you do use them, they appear on these buttons down below. A few other things to note here. First off, we have lots of keyboard shortcuts here in AutoCAD. That's kind of how we live and die. So I don't encourage you to use the toolbars here at the top. It's very slow to click and then find and then click again and then go through your options. I know that they're there and they're visual, but instead of leaning on those as a crutch, I'd prefer that you memorize keyboard shortcuts. So instead of going in here to you know, home tab potentially, and then finding the line command and then clicking and going through my steps, I can just hit L enter and I've got a line. So it happens so fast you didn't see it, but if I hit L, it automatically is a shortcut for the line command, and when I hit the enter key, it starts the command. And I can make a line, finish it, hit enter again to finish, and if I want to repeat, I just hit enter again and it repeats the command. So you'll hear about this more, but use keyboard shortcuts. It's going to speed you up a ton. And if you don't know a command, just start typing. If I want to draw a circle, just start typing circle, and then you'll get this pop-up that has different options for circle. So you can click and draw it, and then you'll learn that, well, hey, just C was circle, so you can get fast. But if you want to copy, if you hit C, it's actually CO you can see on my list, so I can either click on it or I can just hit CO, enter, and now I can copy. So we'll get to get familiar with these keyboard shortcuts as the semester progresses. Just a few other things. One is coordinate system. AutoCAD is coordinate based. You'll see an XY icon in the corner. So everything, you'll see here I'm drawing a line to the right along the x-axis, or I'm drawing a line vertically along the y-axis. Everything is coordinate based, so I can type in coordinates or I can draw freehand, and you'll find in this class I'm going to teach you to draw freehand because you're going to be way more efficient that way. And then when we get into 3D, if I do an orbit command, you'll find that there is also a z-axis, which is vertical, and then when I start teaching you 3D, we can take the 2D and we can turn it into 3D, as I've done right here with just a little disc. So that is basically the overview. The last thing I guess I want to cover is 3 ways to end a command. So if I'm in a command, I can end by right-clicking and saying enter. Or if I'm in a command, I can end by just hitting the enter key. Or my favorite, if you're in a command, to end it quickly, just hit the spacebar key. So spacebar again, spacebar. So my spacebar is about worn out because I use spacebar so often. And if you ever need to abort, if something isn't right and you forgot a step, just hit the escape key one time. Hit it twice and it completely clears it out. So escape is your best friend. If you really can't get in a bind that escape can't correct, and Control-Z for undo, you can always go back to where you hadn't made the mistake. So thank you for your time. I know this has gone on about 11 minutes, but this is our video tutorial for AutoCAD Setup, and hopefully it is helpful as you prepare for this course.